Hello and welcome to week 9 in cultural anthropology, and I hope you all had a break of some kind, whether it was a big vacation or whether it was just a few less things on your to-do list. I hope it was refreshing. You came back to school ready to go again. And today, this week, we're going to be taking on globalization. And of course, around the world, different places in the world have participated in different ways in globalization. If you've taken Introduction to Sociology, you know that globalization is one of the major forces of change in our culture. The global supply chain, the global food chain, the global telecommunications. I mean, good, the bad, and the ugly about all of that stuff. So we're going to be looking at that particular aspect of culture around the world. Now we have a discussion and a quiz, and I want to get some clarity on some of the terminology that I used. In the discussion, I evoke the term agency. Now, agency is when we act in the world, when we make decisions by free will and we act in the world. We are exercising agency. I am a person who can act in the real world. So that's as simple as it. Why didn't I just say that? I like the word agency. So how do we use agency, our decisions, our actions in the world, to deal with, in this case, the global marketplace? Now, in the discussions that we're having of this in the material, we've already discussed farmers markets. So we can move away from the global supply chain for food and buy local. So buying local is one of the ways in which we exercise agency in response to the global marketplace. We may also respond to the global marketplace by definitively buying things that are not local. If you're using, for example, Amazon to order any products, which I am totally guilty of doing, then you are partaking in the global distribution system products. There's things in my house that in no way, shape, or form have been made anywhere near here by any local producer. And so looking at those kinds of ways in which we choose to partake or not partake in the global food chain, distribution chain, markets, all of that stuff. See if you can come, I'm just got a whole bunch of ideas that came to me. I'll see if those come up in the discussions. So some good examples of that, of local markets that you're participating in. And we'll discuss those. The quiz asks you to define, and if possible, give examples. It's always important to give an example. Define and give an example of globalization, and then the 5 scapes. This is terminology that's being introduced through this. The scapes include ethnoscape, that's the movement of people around the world. Technoscape, the movement of technology around the world. For instance, the issue of military products being sent to the Ukraine. You know, that process of getting high-end military weapons into the hands of the defenders of Ukraine is part of the technoscape. Ideascape or ideoscape, meaning the movement of ideas. And that's certainly the notion of what's going on, information, but also the ideas underlying those things, like freedom, democracy, you know, the sanctity of borders. I'm stuck talking about Ukraine here, but all kinds of different ideas going around. Then we have financescape, the movement of money, and then mediascape, the actual mechanisms of media, very closely, particularly these days, very closely tied to the movement of ideas. I said these days, but it's always been that way. Once we started writing things down and putting them on the printing press, thank you, Mr. Gutenberg, we engaged in an idea escape. That was an incredible, not only was a media escape, the distribution of knowledge in bound volumes, so you didn't have to listen around the campfire. That was a media escape, and it translated into an idea escape as world ideas became distributed across the world. So great stuff. You're giving the quiz is for you to examine those and give the definitions and good examples of each one of those. So you'll be doing some research around that. So I look forward to the discussions. Welcome back. Again, I hope you're well rested. We have about 7 weeks left in the semester. Let's make them really strong, and I will see you in the discussion boards.